Now I'm going to go through each person because this is stimulating different perceptives, and I'd like everybody to make a last comment on this or anything that's come through the session today. So I'll ask, I think we'll have a little insight from India and then we'll come back to Africa. So Dr. Vilas, if you'd like to start, and Venkat and Dr. Dayakar, since you've come in early, you come in as well and have a comment, and then Dr. Ananthan and Anitha. So over to the Indian colleagues for the perspective on this. Dr. Vilas.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna. I think it was a nice insight into the going on things in millets and sorghum in Africa. And I will take back to the days when Dr. Moses Siambi visited IIMR. I think we discussed a lot during that time how we need not have to reinvent the wheel and how we can mainstream this kind of processing that has happened already in India to be taken also to Africa. So there were two issues that came into limelight. One is the machinery part of it. So how this machinery could reach the required entrepreneurs or the governmental systems from India or anywhere. That is the one thing. How it could be facilitated, maybe under South-South cooperation. I think there is a lot of money need to be tapped, which is lying unused. In fact, I think when Peter was there was some effort, and I think we need to really look at how with ICR and ICRISAT and CG system together can really leave our footprint on Africa and promote the efforts in the African initiative of processing of sorghum and millets, and also trying to add value in terms of mechanization that needs to happen. So if we can do that, I think we will really take forward this in a very accelerated way. So that's what I just wanted to add. So thank you.
Thank you, Vilas. Dr. Venkat, if you'd like to add something, and then we'll go to Dayakar. Dr. Dayakar. You're on mute, Venkat. Oh, I think you're right now.
Once again, just wishing. Who's going to speak? Venkat? What?
Yeah. So one thing that we could learn was that hybrids can be a future solution for increasing the productivity in African countries, and for that, as we know, technology is already available, and ICRISAT can be a facilitator in taking hybrids to the African nations. So with the we know in countries like India, we have hybrids developed both in public and the private sector. So with the ICRISAT playing a key role and the support from the local governments of African nations, it should be possible that we can have high-yielding millet as well as sorghum in Africa, and also the seed production technology by producing in Africa itself the seeds. So it will be possible to substantially bring down the cost of the seed. So that if sorghum or millet can be grown there, there is no reason why hybrid seed production cannot be taking place there. So only thing is the some capacity building for the agricultural agencies or seed production agencies and farmers may be required. So with that, it should be possible. It's only the matter of having an initiative and then taking it forward, I think. Then, yeah, I think about machinery, Dr. Tonapi has already told. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Venkat. Dr. Dayakar, I can see you keen to come in there. This is touched on some areas very close to your heart. Go ahead, please. You can unmute, Dayakar.
Thank you, Joanna. Once again, glad to meet on a virtual platform. Moses, as my director was telling, that we met you earlier and we had a discussion and you had a guided tour about what's happening in India. Thank you that your memory is very alive and you can you brought all the things. I'm very happy to see you there on the panel. I just want to tell you that one way wherein we can try to replicate the value chain gains that India had taken up so far can be translated in the form in various African nations or even African Union, maybe Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, or somewhere to begin with. Why can't we establish one center of excellence? And similar lines that of that, because mechanization is one major factor that is really just hinging us taking the things forward in Africa. That's what my experience last time I visited Ethiopia, Addis Ababa last year through African Union, one with the Indian industry body FICCI. So I had an opportunity to go around and see the fields and also to meet some of the top officials, Ethiopian Institute of that Agriculture Research, Ethiopian Council of Agriculture Research, and also some sort of a planning body also. And then the response was very good, but how to take up, my director has already, Dr. Vilas has spoken to you that this has to be taken at the apex level so that we can take both the IIMR, ICRISAT, especially the ICAR-IIMR, how we can take it up further. We are more than willing to really part with the knowledge that is taken up here. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Center of Excellence will provide you the mechanization part also. Apart from the product development, we will be having different product lines, including the primary processing, so that that can be just translated, and then the scaling up efforts can be later taken up. So I think that should be the beginning where we can take up. Second aspect is that while we are commercializing, I'm going to talk in the afternoon session. I think in detail I'll be taking up, but the model that Indian model seems to be very tenable and can be replicated because we are all developing nations. So there are so many similarities and the needs, the food habits and preferences, how we can really just bring in and rediscover our traditional grains back into the plate.
Thank you, Dr. Dayakar. And I think, we already have a great team here from different continents. And I think together, there's so much more that can be achieved. Yes. So Dr. Ananthan and Dr. Anitha, do you want to have any additional comments here? Dr. Ananthan, please. You're on mute, Dr. Ananthan.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have much comment. One thing I just wanted to emphasize, it's very clear that the millet is good for everybody, everything. As I said, it's good for planet, good for farmer, and good for human being, even for the cattle also, as we can see from the one of the presentations. I'm sure that it needs to be promoted because somehow, because of our alternative food security, it's not a new stable crop. The millets, it's during my childhood time, I was eating more millets than rice, 35 years back. But now, because of other important the security, food security, we have left our the millets. But now we have to bring back the millets again as back to the staple foods, because as I shown very clearly that there are a lot of the benefits in terms of the nutrients, which is required for the current scenario. It's a nutrition security. So not only the nutrition security, even the food biodiversity also will be enhanced when we include the millets in our food plates. So this is very important, and there is no doubt about for the promotion of the millets African countries. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Ananthan. Dr. Anitha, your final comment. You have 1 foot in Africa and 1 foot in India, although you've just put 2 feet in India recently. Your final comment, please.
Thank you, Joanna. Yeah, as Dr. Ananthan said, Yes, millets actually now we all know it is really high in nutrition and it's good for planet, good for farmer. My only concern about the millet is about the acceptance among the taste acceptance. So in now past few decades, people are used to some other staples like rice and wheat, and they are one of the major reason is also find our difficulties to coming back to millet is the availability of several recipes, formulations, cooking methods, and the taste perceptions. So that I always have seen both in India and also in Africa. I could able to achieve the high acceptance through preparing the food in a culturally sensitive way, where we can replace in a very the popular recipes of each country. We can replace the either one or two staple, and we can easily add the millets. That was my experience in India and also in Africa. By doing that, we are not actually affecting the emotional and cultural sensitivity of the people, and the acceptance was always good. When we are all struggling to actually the uh, through several processing, making several products, and I always emphasize that it's very important to take care of the consumer's preference.
Thanks, Dr. Anitha. And I like that term, taste perception. It's not just the taste, it's perception of what they think is the taste. So very important as well. So over to the final comments from our African colleagues, Dr. Ramadjita and Dr. Rebbie. So Dr. Rebbie,
Joanna,
would you like to go first?
Yeah,
Yes.
John, I have to go first because I have to go to another session. I think for me, my last comments are on the productivity. I think this is an area where we should not neglect. It's very important. We need to increase productivity per unit land. It has to be sustainable intensification. We have said that, yes, it's less input, but we should not really forget that every time we are harvesting 1 ton or 3 tons, we are also extracting nutrients from the soil. So we should not forget the good agronomic practices. Sorghum is an area where we have already put technology out there. Fertilizer microdosing, where you can put as little as 30 kilos of nitrogen in the soil to increase your productivity. So let's not forget that. The other element is, let's not again be carried away and focus on monocropping. This is a cereal just like as maize. It can be integrated with a lot of the grain legumes like pigeon peas, groundnuts, which are also part of the nutrition enhancement. So let's promote intercropping, let's promote rotation so that we don't end up in a place where we start compromising on the other elements of this food value chain. Remember, it's about these foods are good for us, good for the farmer, good for the planet. And one of it is actually this sustainable intensification and good agronomic practices. It has to be at the core. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very, very important words. Thank you, Rebbie. Excellent ending on that. So Dr. Ramadjita, your final thoughts.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to see the old Moses Siambi. He's looking good still. I think he's eating so well in Nairobi that he put up some weight. First of all, I don't know whether he eats millet and sorghum at all. I think here I eat sorghum and millet, and it's important that we'll start from our side so that we can get other people to follow us. So Moses, this is a challenge to you. But getting back to the different presentation and my final thoughts is that I think hybrids have a big role to play in our production system. Hybrids of sorghum as well as hybrid millet. We have been trying that for the past few years, but the biggest problem constraint is seeds, availability of seeds of those hybrids, because the private sector is not really so much involved in producing seed like in India. I think that's where India has a big advantage. But here, the private sector is still very slow and shy in getting into producing seeds. So sometimes you get really poor quality seeds, and they will tell you this is hybrid seed, but it's really grain, it's not really seed. So I believe that we need to do something to motivate and inspire and have what we call these smart subsidies. You know, this was done some time ago in Malawi, where seeds were given to farmers or sold to farmers in small pack, at least to get them to appreciate the importance of those varieties, and then they can buy them. So I think we need to do some kind of a control subsidies. That's one thing about the hybrids, but it's very important. I think in terms of nutrition, I believe that we can tap on the experience of India. And we've started, for example, in Mali to put something we call Tubaniso Agri Business Innovation Center. And this is going to be supported by the World Bank. We've been working with Kiran Sharma in India to get some of the things they're doing at the AIP, the Agribusiness Innovation Platform. And we're doing that on our 60-hectare land here so that we can get some of the machinery that are in India and bring them here to process, cleaning the sorghum and processing, making the flours. And we hope that that can really help us. And I think somebody mentioned, my last point is that Peter Carberry last year has been really steering this kind of meeting that the Prime Minister of India wanted to have with African in New Delhi. Unfortunately, COVID came and this was aborted. But I think this is something that I hope in 2021, it will start so that the Indian government can help Africa to really get into all this agribusiness, getting the machinery and some support from the Indian government. Thank you very much. I think one last thing is that the ambassador of India to Mali, very good friend, Kumar, is really keen to get support from Indian government to Africa, to Mali particularly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramadjita. Excellent. Also, final points and recommendations, which we will take forward and bring these messages to the relevant people. Dr. Moses Siambi, you were given a challenge. You have 1 minute so that we can then finalize and finish this session because the next session is about to start. Moses, you're very lucky. The final word.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I've not Tabo for long, so I'll not fall into his trap of what I'm eating. But I think my final comments is this discussion since yesterday puts us in a very good place to position the sorghum and millets in Africa to take the dialogue to another level. Each country is trying to do something about it, but it hasn't reached the level of importance that I've always known in India, putting it right and square that this is a staple, is a food product that needs to receive as much attention as, maize or wheat. The difficulty we have is what then can ICRISAT do to work with those governments to bring it to that higher level. And I'm sure Tabo and Rebbie will keep pushing on this so that sorghum and millets are really important and become part of not just the diet, but the funding for research and development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moses. Excellent final words there. And I think today we've also established some great linkages already between India and Africa, and a lot of ideas have come from this.